I don't know exactly what was going on, uh, but I don't think it was an issue, thankfully, with Zoom or with the whole process of setting this up. I think it was something with my camera, actually, which is good because that's much easier to fix. And I think I know what to do if it happens again. So that is all good. So I just wanted to come back because I know that I missed some questions, and you guys have been so awesome being here, hanging out with me on Saturday night while I practice some of this stuff. That I am, yeah.
You guys are amazing. I don't know how you do it.
You guys are amazing, and I appreciate that. I got to get comfortable with this new soundboard that I have, so that I can use these at natural points throughout our broadcasts. All right, so let me make sure. I just want to look and make sure that this is still live on Periscope. There's definitely a few more things that have to happen in the lead up to a show going live. Trying to do it this way, but it is worth it if we can stream on all three of these. Let's see if. Oh, okay. I need to get a better title for the YouTube stream, so I'll do that. Daryl, thank you. Looks and sounds great. Jennifer says, "Where did Ryan come from?" Well, he would tell you that he was born of Zeus. That is certainly what he would tell you. YouTube working now. Checking in from Madison. Cool. But he actually came from San Diego. So he did.
Whose fault is that?
I would say that would be his parents' fault because they lived in San Diego and brought him into this world. So now we all have to deal with him. So thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Phillips. Yeah, webinars were. Yeah, no, I got to figure out, Megan, why. I don't know why it shows up on YouTube as my webinar. Oh, Tatiana DeWitt just joined. Tatiana, I sent a message to Will earlier asking him if he was around because I was going to have him join me for this test. He's going to be very excited when I show him this process for broadcasting on YouTube, Periscope, and Facebook Live. So I apologize in advance, Tatiana. Okay, so there were some other questions. Ethan's saying my video is still frozen. Is the video frozen for anybody else? I hope not. I know there were some questions on Periscope that I didn't get a chance to get to. So if you guys ask those again, I'll hang out for at least like 5-10 more minutes, and I will definitely answer as many of those as possible. If it is frozen, let me know. Okay, Michael says test looks great. Thank you. Facebook Live is great. Let me ask you, do you think it's worthwhile to do this? I mean, obviously, we usually broadcast on YouTube, but do you guys like being able to watch it on Facebook and Periscope instead? I mean, it's certainly easier to just broadcast to YouTube because there's only one thing that we have to do. But this process is not that difficult, so I have no problem doing it. But I would like to at least know that it's worthwhile and that you guys would like. Everything's all right on Twitter. Sweet, just frozen. Cool. Will that be helpful? Will you like that? Yes, Facebook is easier. Okay, well we're getting some answers in the affirmative, so that's enough for me because it's not that difficult. Now I'll just have to get Andy up to speed, get Michael up to speed on it for when I'm not here, because Ryan definitely would not do that. There's no question about that.
Not my job, folks.
Yeah, Ryan's not handling any production. He just hops on to give opinions. That's it. Oh man. Easier from a phone. All right, good. Yeah, I have to imagine this will probably give us a chance for more people to watch the show live. Yeah, Megan says, how about the chat monitoring? Well, I mean, I have to say, I mean, I'm kind of doing it right now, and it's not that hard, although I'm also not having to follow a run sheet and keep up with what Andy and Ryan are saying. So that's a good question. I mean, we'll just have to figure that out. I don't know exactly how we'll monitor the chat. Hey, Valerie, good to see you here. Maybe there will be one chat that we go to for questions, or maybe each of us can monitor one chat. So, yeah, I'll have to figure that out. That's a good question, Megan, because it won't be as easy as it is tonight when I'm actually hyper focused on all this. Ryan seems a bit like a diva. Ryan's awesome. We just like to give him a hard time. He's a great guy. But
I've never changed a diaper in my life.
he's never changed a diaper in his life. If he did that, he would have a little bit more humility. Ethan, I'm not going to answer that question. I'm not going to do it. Biggest jump next year from Kip. Well, my first instinct to that was to say Justin Smith. I think he's going to have a pretty big jump next year. But I also think you could make an argument for why Devontae Green could make a big jump next year. Clifton Moore is certainly a guy who could make a big jump next year. So it's interesting. Race Thompson, I guess it's tough to say he could make a big jump because we don't really know kind of where he's at right now. But I would say Justin and Devontae are the two guys that stand out to me. Justin's kind of the most obvious one. That guy has so much potential, so much talent, and he really seemed to be getting it at the end of the year. It made it really fun to watch him play. Cameron says you really need Andy and Ryan. Yes, I absolutely need those guys.
There are no other alternatives.
Although, if I can put together enough of these audio clips, then maybe if they can't show up, I could just, I can just play their audio clips and they don't even need to be here. But no, those guys, without those guys, they can tell you. Those two guys actually a lot of off seasons talk me back in to getting ready for the regular season. Because a lot of times by the time a season is over and it gets into the off season, it's, I don't want to act like it's, some big, difficult thing that we do here, but it's, the schedule does get kind of long, especially, in seasons like this one, when there's a lot of late games, that kind of thing. And I sometimes wonder if this is really something that we want to do for the next season. And those guys are always, with their enthusiasm and their excitement, they always get me back excited to do it. And this year's different now because we're doing the off-season shows, so it helps kind of keep us, in with the weekly rhythm. And I mean, Andy's so good at knowing something about every team Indiana's going to play and knowing the landscape of the Big Ten, which I just can't keep up with all that stuff. And Ryan obviously knows something about everything and has a lot of experience playing basketball. So those guys are, I'm extremely lucky to have two co-hosts like those guys. So, and I think it shows. And shoot, we're lucky to have fill-in hosts like Coach Tonsoni, like Zach McCright. Those guys can step in a pinch and just give really good perspective and unique perspective. They bring something different that we don't have when they're not here, which is, what you want from the guys that are stepping in off the bench. So it's we've built a really good group, I think, and we're really fortunate to have the group that we have. If Romeo comes and Juwan stays, IU will have one of the best 1-2 punches in the country. Hard to argue with that. I think it's pretty clear they would have the best 1-2 punch in the Big Ten, right? Yeah. I can't think of another one that would be better in the Big Ten. I guess Michigan State might have no, we'd have the best 1-2 punch in the Big Ten with those two guys, I would think. It would have to be in the top 10 in the country. No question about it. Let me see. Floor, ceiling, and reasonable expectations for the team with Romeo and Juwan. The floor for that team would be oh man, the floor, like I'm trying to decide if the floor for that team is making the NIT or a first round exit in the NCAA tournament. If you're talking about expectations, okay, you're talking about the floor for expectations, if I'm reading your question correctly. The floor for expectations would be top 4 finish in the Big Ten, losing the first round of the NCAA tournament. There's your floor. Ceiling is win the Big Ten, make the Final Four. Reasonable expectation would be top 3 finish in the Big Ten because, as we all know, that can sometimes be dependent on just how the schedule shakes out and then injuries and that kind of thing. And second weekend of the NCAA tournament. I think that would be a reasonable expectation myself. Even though this is a program that hasn't made it to the tournament in a couple of years, if you get both of those guys, I think you can be good enough by the time Big Ten season rolls around in a still not good Big Ten, and then NCAA tournament. A lot of that's going to depend on matchups, but I think that'd be a fair recommendation. Sorry, my throat's all dry. Let's see. I'd redshirt Anderson Davis and Clifton Moore. You're not going to have a lot of depth if you do that. And De'Ron Davis probably doesn't want a redshirt. He's got a professional career that he's going to want to get onto. He's been working hard to get back. Clifton Moore apparently didn't want a redshirt, and that was part of the reason why he came. So I don't think that's going to happen either. Demezy, maybe. I feel like you're asking a lot of existential questions. What's the point of anything in life? I think I've thought a lot about that, Ethan. I think the point of anything in life, I guess at least where I come at it right now, is to do meaningful things for people who mean something to you. That's actually where I come down with this show, because I do go back and forth on all the time that we put into this show. And sometimes you can boil it down to, three middle-aged guys in their 30s talking into a computer about college-age kids playing basketball, which is kind of what we do. It's what we do. It's okay. We've accepted it. But, then when you step back and when we have the opportunity to go to Bloomington and meet the people who watch the show, and you guys are so awesome and you tell us what it means to you and how much you enjoy it, and we realize that it creates something meaningful for people who mean something to us. And, IU fans, alums of Indiana University, the people who follow this team and who have had a lot of the same experiences, a lot of the same backgrounds that we have. That's what makes it meaningful, because we're creating something meaningful for people who mean something to us. And so I think that is the point of anything in life, is to do something meaningful for people who mean something to you. Could be your family, could be your friends, could be people that you don't know across the world who watch a silly show that you put together, but then you get a chance to meet them. And even if all you do is meet and interact here and answer questions and that kind of thing, it's still meaningful, because here we are on a Saturday night and we're all chatting and talking. So there's something meaningful going on here. So that's, I think that's the point of anything in life. Saw a tweet about Trace, rumored to be reclassifying to play with Romeo at IU. I haven't heard anything that makes me believe that that's remotely possible. Clearly, I'm not going to be in for this question and answer too much longer, because my throat is about to go. Do you think Jerome Hunter is exactly the same as Justin Smith? I certainly don't think he's exactly the same as Justin Smith. I think Justin Smith is a bouncier athlete. There's similar players. I think Jerome Hunter is probably better on the perimeter right now than Justin. But I hesitate to answer that too much more, because I haven't seen Jerome Hunter play enough to know. I'm realizing that as I kind of answer it as both of those things. I suppose I don't really know if that's true. So I don't think they're exactly the same. But let's wait to see what Jerome Hunter has. We've seen Justin Smith now for a year in college. We've seen him struggle and get better and go through some ups and downs. And now let's see what Jerome Hunter is. So I don't think they're exactly the same. I think they obviously have some similarities. But Jerome strikes me as having a higher ceiling than Justin, maybe, because I think he can be more versatile and maybe handle the ball better. But we'll see. Drew says, I think Jerome can be a starter within a few games and give 10, 12 points a game. Would not shock me. It would surprise me. But it wouldn't shock me. The guy's got a lot of talent. No question about it. And I think he's going to play some meaningful minutes next year. Well, Indiana. Oh my, Megan. Thanks for letting me know that. That is not good. Holy moly. What will Indiana be like on that day? I can imagine it. If IU gets Romeo, what will Indiana be like? Well, there will certainly be small pockets of Indiana, like where I went to high school in West Lafayette, that will not be very happy. But I think the rest of the state will be jubilant and rejoicing, as much as has happened after a recruiting announcement since probably Cody Zeller. All right. I think it's time to shut this down here, because I'm struggling to talk. And hopefully Josh Margolis has Six Banner Sunday ready to go, so we can get that edited for you tomorrow. But hey, thank you everybody for joining me tonight. Thanks for all your feedback, especially when we had the little video issue. I appreciated that. I'm excited about this. I think this will be hopefully a good addition. It seems like everybody likes the option of watching live on three different places. So unless something happens between now and Thursday, we'll try and roll this out on Thursday, and that way we have plenty of time to work out kinks before the season starts. So thank you all very much for coming and making this so much more than just a random Saturday night test. I appreciate all the interaction. And if you like these kind of impromptu sessions too, maybe we can hop on and do this a little bit more, because I really had fun doing this. So thank you, everybody. Have a good Saturday night. Have a good Sunday. And I'll talk to you guys on Thursday night for Assembly Call Radio.